Hello, my friends. I'm sitting down to record this episode for you today on December 17th, and I'm actually going to be launching it today as well. So, we're doing a ad-free raw dog podcast episode for you today. And don't worry, there will be a new one, perfectly produced, very exciting episode live from Enfold Institute where I did 5-MeO on Friday. So, watch out for that. But before Friday, I want to get this episode out for you guys because it's just very timely. And just to give you guys a little bit of an update of what's been going on for me. So, I took a trip to Vancouver, BC a couple of weeks ago. It was a work trip. I went to visit Enfold Institute to record the podcast. And that's going to be launched both on my channel here on Modern Psychedelics and the Still In It podcast. So look out for that. I also hosted a Kana breathwork ceremony with the Flying Sage and Alejandro, and that went really well. It was sponsored by Kana Wellness, my Kana company. And then other than that, I did a bunch of just exploring and connecting with friends, everyone connected to this world of psychedelics and consciousness and plant medicine. So it was a really fun trip. And I actually did a whole YouTube vlog on this, a very behind the scenes, raw kind of vlog where I really let you into another side of my life. I rented a Tesla. I had some really scenic drives in the beautiful mountains, and it was just a lot of fun. And we're actually growing the YouTube channel quite a lot right now. If you want to check that out, it's Modern Psychedelics on YouTube. I'll have that linked for you in the show notes. It's 30 minutes of just fun watching, fun viewing, and yeah, really excited about that. And other than that, I mean, things are really flying for me right now. I felt a little bit stuck with modern psychedelics and just all of my professional endeavors earlier this year. And honestly, taking that break, slowing things down, going down to 2 episodes a month rather than weekly episodes, it's been really useful because yeah, there's a lot of projects that I'm currently working on, a lot of fun stuff that I'm working on, including the topic of today's episode. So let's get into it because I want to talk to you guys about something called Dopamine Detox. And this is all inspired by a book that I've been reading called Dopamine Nation by Dr. Lemke. And I decided that this January, I want to take a break. I want to take a break and reset my brain's natural reward system because there are two things in particular that I feel, been overindulging in. And as a result, they're becoming compulsive rather than pleasurable activities. And even though I might not be fully there on the realm of like full compulsion or full addiction, I definitely know what this can lead to. So I want to talk to you guys today about what is called a dopamine detox. So if you're someone who has ever felt stuck in a loop of habits that give you quick hits of pleasure, but ultimately leave you feeling drained and distracted and disconnected and just blah. If you're nodding yes, you're definitely not alone. And this is where something like doing a dopamine detox comes in. So I want to talk about what it is, why I'm doing it, and why you might want to join me this January to reset your brain and really reclaim your energy and vitality and sense of purpose and clarity for 2025. If you're just tuning into the show for the first time, welcome to the Modern Psychedelics podcast. I'm your host, Lana Pribic. I'm a ICF professional coach, podcast host, of course. I'm the owner of Kana Wellness, which is a South African botanical herb used adjacent to psychedelics, and overall, just an advocate for intentional and integrated living. Today's episode is personal, but it's also packed with insights that could hopefully put you on the right path this year and maybe even change the course of your life. Let's talk about dopamine, detoxing from the things that once used to give us pleasure, and really starting off 2025 with clarity, balance, and intention. So, what is dopamine? As many of you know, dopamine is a neurotransmitter that drives our pleasure, reward, and motivation systems. Dopamine is essential for survival. There's a reason why us humans have it, but it can become overstimulated very easily in today's world. We have very easy, unbarred access to things like social media, online shopping, cannabis, alcohol, binge watching Netflix, sugar. Oh, don't even get me started on sugar. Been a big one for me this year. These are all things that give us those quick hits of dopamine. But the more we overstimulate our dopamine pathways, the more we crave. And over time, the less satisfying those quick pleasures become. Too much pleasure, it turns out, actually leads to pain. And this is really the crux of why one might want to take an intentional step back from dopamine inducing activities or substances. The impact of overstimulation on the pain pleasure balance in the brain is something definitely worth knowing about. So listen up. When dopamine pathways are overstimulated through too much dopamine inducing substances or activities, it throws off the natural balance of pain and pleasure in the brain. So the brain is wired to maintain homeostasis. So think of it as a scale, and Dr. Ann Lemke talks about this in the book Dopamine Nation. Think of it as a scale like a teeter-totter, where on one side you have pain and on the other side you have pleasure. So the brain naturally wants to keep that level. But every time the scale tips towards pleasure, for example, it actually compensates just naturally by tipping back towards pain. For example, if you spend hours scrolling through social media or consuming cannabis or, doing what I used to do up until this year, indulging in an entire pint of ice cream in one sitting, that initial pleasure, that joy, that rush of dopamine and feel good neurotransmitters in your brain is followed by a dip. It's followed by pain. It's followed by dissatisfaction, restlessness, or even anxiety. That's your brain just naturally rebalancing itself and doing what it's meant to do. So I know after I would indulge in a pint of ice cream every time, it was so compulsive and I couldn't even stop myself from doing it. I had the voice in my head saying, okay, you've had enough. Let's not have 100 grams of sugar in one sitting, Lana. And I couldn't stop. And then, of course, by the time I finished the pint or half the pint or whatever it was, I would immediately feel guilt. I would immediately feel disgusted with myself. And I would literally feel disgusted. Like I would feel ill and sick to my stomach. It would affect my sleep. And it just wasn't a good time. So that was that pain pleasure balance just naturally rebalancing itself. Over time, chronic dopamine overstimulation, otherwise known as compulsive use, and at the very extreme, addiction, this can lead to a few things that we want to be aware of and be mindful of. Of course, the first cost of chronic dopamine overstimulation is tolerance, right? We need more of the habit or the substance to achieve the same pleasure that we once got. It also leads to reduced sensitivity to natural joys in life. So you need these bigger hits of dopamine producing substances activities more often to get pleasure. And as a result, you can't get pleasure from those simple joys in life, from looking at a sunset, from, cleaning your apartment and enjoying the peace that brings. It's hard to experience dopamine from just going out for a walk and breathing fresh air or from connecting with friends and family. You actually just need that intense hit of dopamine to create pleasure in the brain. And so there's so many implications of this to our day-to-day lives and relationships. Chronic dopamine overstimulation can also lead to prolonged periods of discomfort or withdrawal when not engaging in the habit or substance. So the deeper you go into dopamine producing compulsions, the harder it will be to disengage with it when the time comes. And trust me, the time always comes. Unless we go so deep into a compulsion that it turns into a deep addiction that we cannot shake, for most of us, there comes a time when we're like, okay, I actually just really need a break from social media or alcohol or sugar. And the longer you go without engaging with it, harder it will be to disengage with it and reset your brain's natural balance. So stepping away intentionally through something like a dopamine detox challenge for an entire month. And there is a reason that we do it for a month that Dr. Ann Lemke talks about in the book, but that's really long enough to go through that withdrawal period, which can usually last a week or two, and then experience the benefits of being on the other side of that. So by stepping away through something like a dopamine detox and like really taking the intentional steps to do that, you are allowing that pain pleasure scale to rebalance. And beyond that, beyond just the chemistry in your brain, you're also creating energetic space in your life for more genuine, lasting satisfaction and fulfillment and purpose and clarity and all of those things that we in this community love. So, what actually is a dopamine detox? A dopamine detox is very simple. It just is a matter of stepping away intentionally from habits or activities or substances that overstimulate your brain's reward system. By doing something like a dopamine detox challenge, you actually allow your brain to rebalance so that you can enjoy those simple natural pleasures. Again, the walk in nature, a deep conversation, just those simple everyday moments of joy that are actually so much more wonderful and lovely than intense hits of dopamine. But the key is when that scale is off balance, we're not able to enjoy those simple daily joys. So, I want to tell you guys, hopefully, an inspiring story about why I am deciding to do this dopamine detox. So, obviously, I'm someone with a lot of drive, passion, ambition. I have a very big love for life and a gratitude and appreciation for life. And so, there's a lot that I want to accomplish and experience in my life. And so I'm someone who reflects a lot and is constantly refining and retuning my lifestyle, my habits, how I spend my days, how I approach life. And I've come to realize over this last year in 2024 that some of my habits are no longer serving me in the way that they once did. They've become crutches that I've started to lean on for comfort, stress relief, and even creativity, right? So for me, two dopamine inducing activities that I want to intentionally take a step back from in January are cannabis and shopping. So cannabis, right? I've talked about cannabis a few times on my podcast. There's a solo that I did about my relationship with cannabis and how it helps me with creativity and psychedelic integration. Cannabis is a substance that I love with all of my heart, and I feel very strongly about wanting to maintain a healthy relationship with cannabis because it's something that helps me relax, it helps me unwind. It's a recreational option for me away from alcohol or psychedelics or MDMA that feels more accessible and gentle when I still want to unwind and have fun, but don't necessarily want to go towards something like harder and stronger. Cannabis is also so useful for me and my job, my creativity. It's something that helps me with psychedelic integration and helps me to think at a higher level and increase my level of awareness and perception of what's going on around me. So it's something that I don't see myself ever not consuming. I mean, never say never. Maybe one day I won't ever consume it. But right now, where I'm in my life, cannabis is something that just greatly serves me. And it's not something that I want to have a unhealthy relationship with. As the year is coming to an end, I'm starting to question whether my usage of cannabis is actually healthy or not. And I actually feel really torn about it because of all of the benefits that I've just told you about. But then I find that I am consuming cannabis most days of the week. I would say 70 to 80% of days I am consuming cannabis. I lean on it to help me unwind and relax at the end of the day. And look, I'm a busy girl. I have a lot going on. Sometimes my days are absolutely packed. And sometimes cannabis is that thing that just really is what I need at the end of the night. And I'm not sure if that's healthy. And so this is what I want to explore in January. And I know that I can't come to an honest answer about that when I am consuming cannabis. So I want to take a step back, yes, for a tolerance break, which is always a good idea if you're a cannabis consumer, to get that tolerance break, to give my lungs a break, and also just to reevaluate my relationship and our relationship together. It's like being in a relationship with someone who you're not sure it's working out with. And so you're like, you know what, sweetie, I really just need a month to myself to think about what I want out of this relationship. That's exactly what I'm doing with cannabis. And then the other thing I want to take a little bit of a break from is shopping. The reasons for this are a little bit different than cannabis. I don't feel that my shopping is compulsive. My best friend thinks that I definitely have a shopping addiction, but that's only because I definitely consume more than her. But I'm not worried about overconsumption with shopping because I really do think about all of my purchases. I've been on a personal style journey this year that I've been sharing a little bit about. I'll link that podcast episode for you guys below if you're interested. But it's not something that I'm worried about, like, oh, I'm shopping just to shop because it feels good. I'm very intentional with my purchases and I have a wish list and I think about my purchases before. It's more so that I want to give my bank account a break and I want to make some progress on paying off my debt. I have a little bit of student debt left that I would love to be done with this year and make more than those minimum payments. So for me, the break from shopping is not so much a dopamine inducing activity. I mean, I definitely get a hit of dopamine when I like find the perfect thing and order it and it comes in and I wear it. But I also want to honor all of the new additions to my wardrobe this year. I've purchased a lot of new items and I actually want to honor them and wear them and style them and really focus on styling over shopping and flex that creativity muscle rather than depending on that new piece in my wardrobe to give me that hit of creativity that I need to get dressed. So, yes, that quick thrill of like buying something new feels good and it definitely produces dopamine, but this is more about prioritizing debt repayment, prioritizing my finances, and prioritizing creativity over shopping. So I decided to do both cannabis and shopping in January because I think my life could greatly benefit from both of these breaks. And I just want more of that balance in both of these areas in my life. Even just coming to do this has been a process for me. I've been thinking about taking a break from cannabis for months now. It was about the middle of this year in July, August that my use got more and more frequent. And with that, I naturally am just very much aware of that. And there's a few reasons why this matters to me. One is that I want to make space for clarity and purpose and really start 2025 off strong. I want to be sober. I want to be financially empowered. I want to feel fucking good because, oh my God, I can't even express how many exciting projects that I'm working on. I am so obsessed and in love with my professional life right now. Everything I'm doing with the podcast, with coaching, the course that I'm developing, there's trainings that I want to take. I want to get my PCC accreditation through the International Coaching Federation. And I've obviously launched Kana Wellness this year, and I want to grow that to be the number one go-to Kana brand in Canada. Like, I have so many massive goals for my business. I have all these incredible aspirations. I'm so motivated. I'm so driven. And this piece of intentionality is something that I know is going to serve me. And I know people out there listening can relate to that. I know a lot of you guys are go-getters. You have big aspirations for your life, whether those are currently professional aspirations like mine are, or personal aspirations and ways of being that you want to accomplish. You know I'm not alone when I say that I want to do good shit and I want to make this life worth living. So for me, this dopamine detox is such a crucial step in that, of taking a step back and reevaluating things. One of the most important steps back I ever took was a step back from alcohol, and I stopped drinking alcohol for, I think, honestly, 3 years. It was a long time. Today, I have a perfectly healthy relationship with alcohol where I can consume one or two, sometimes even three drinks and not feel guilt, shame, or compulsion around that. I know my limits, I know what I need. And honestly, sometimes it just feels nice to go out for a cocktail with a friend. But I would not be here with my relationship with alcohol, which was at one point very problematic, without having taken that intentional step back. Another reason why this matters to me is that I want to reconnect and strengthen the connection between everyday joys in life and creativity and access to creativity without relying on those external hits of dopamine through cannabis. Sobriety is actually really lovely. I actually love being sober. If there's a stretch of several days or a week or even a few weeks, like sometimes I'll take breaks from substances if I'm preparing to hold space for someone, hold ceremony for someone, which I've started doing this year here locally in Ontario. I facilitate ceremonies for people to go deep into themselves. And so during those times, or even if I'm preparing for my own work, I will take a step back from cannabis for a week or two. And I can't help but realize, wow, being sober is so lovely. Like, I sleep so well. I wake up feeling so refreshed. I just have that maintained level of clarity that I don't get when I am consuming cannabis. So I'm really looking forward to reconnecting with that. I also know that addiction is something that is in my blood. It's in my lineage. It's something that I have struggled with before, not to a great extent, but I've definitely had problematic use with substances in the past. And I know it's in my family, it's in my lineage, it's in my ancestry. It has been for decades and decades that I probably can't even trace back to. And so taking a break like this allows me to reevaluate my relationship, reevaluate the role of substances in my life without having to do this all or nothing approach. Because honestly, as I mentioned earlier, cannabis is something that I want to keep in my life. And for me, it's not so much about getting rid of it as it is about finding that sweet spot where that relationship can thrive and be healthy and support me without depleting me. So, what are some of the benefits of doing a dopamine detox? First of all, clarity, right? Stepping back allows you to reevaluate and see what's really important for you. When you have that neurological balance in your brain and you can really think clearly, you'll just naturally see things differently. And I imagine that anyone who joins me in this dopamine detox with a built in supportive community and coaching and proven strategies, people will have breakthroughs and insights around what is important to them and how to actually implement a game plan to live life in accordance to what is important to them. Number two is increased focus and energy, right? Once that withdrawal period is over and we're out on the other side without the distractions and without that space in the brain being taken up with, okay, when am I going to be able to, like, when's the workday going to be over and when can I, get into my cozies and smoke a joint and just relax, right? That's what the voice in my head sounds like for me. It'll be very unique to you based on what your dopamine vice is, but without that energetic space, we'll be able to increase our focus and our energy without distractions and really direct energy towards what matters most. There's also a greater sense of fulfillment that can come from this to experience deeper joy in more simple things in life. Another benefit is breaking the cycle of overconsumption and reducing compulsive behaviors, right? Doing this gives you back control and puts you, rather than your compulsion, rather than that dopamine chasing little gremlin, in the driver's seat of your life. This is just absolutely massive. Another benefit is resilience and balance. We build tolerance for discomfort and reset that pain pleasure scale. We're going to talk in this challenge about doing hard things, building resilience by doing hard things, and choosing expensive dopamine, such as working out, reading a book, rather than cheap dopamine, such as watching TV or scrolling or cannabis. We're going to be able to support psychedelic integration through doing a dopamine detox. Probably most of us come out of a psychedelic journey with a very deep awareness that there's that one thing in our life that is causing us pain and is hard to give up. For me, that was sugar for the longest time. I've made such incredible progress with sugar this year. Now, the next thing I want to tackle is cannabis and really looking at and creating a more sustainable relationship with that in my life. And that is really all a part of psychedelic integration. So, this is going to be an opportunity for you to take action on that integration that you have been avoiding. What is that thing that you know you could benefit from taking a step back from, right? This is your invitation to finally do it. Lastly, doing a dopamine detox allows us to create momentum. By removing a source of energetic drain in your life, we're actually removing the potential for stagnation, lethargy, that stuckness feeling. And instead, we'll have that extra capacity to move forward on our goals. So there's plenty of benefits to doing a dopamine detox intentionally in this way. Just a few here that I've highlighted, but overall, by doing this, we're training the brain to enjoy life's natural highs again. And there's so many natural highs out there. So 2025 is the perfect time to do this. January is the perfect time to reflect, to reset, to set intentions for the year. A dopamine detox allows you to clear mental clutter and create space for what truly matters. And you guys, especially after the indulgence of the holiday season, sugar, alcohol, drinking, late nights, partying. January is a great time to just be like, okay, let's just chill, let's just relax, let's just give everything a little break. So think of this as a clean slate. You're gifting yourself that clean slate, that blank canvas. When February comes, my intention is for everyone who goes through this with me to have that blank canvas and clean slate. And then, we're going to pick up our paintbrushes again in February and intentionally decide what we want to paint, what we want to create, what we want to add into our lives. It's really a chance to start the new year with intention, with purpose, and with just some really solid clarity for the year ahead. There are several strategies to do a dopamine detox successfully. And in the dopamine challenge that I'm hosting, which I'm going to tell you guys about in a second, we're going to go much more deeply into this. But just to give you guys an overview of some of the proven strategies that Dr. Ann Lemke talks about in her book is, I'm going to give you guys three here. Self-binding. This is just creating boundaries to make it easier to step away, whether those are physical or energetic boundaries. There are many strategies here to self-bind yourself away from the dopamine inducing compulsion that you have. Doing hard things, right? Choosing expensive dopamine. By releasing the cheap dopamine, we're going to create space to choose the discomfort and embrace the discomfort and the healthy challenges that will help us build resilience and actually produce more pleasure than pain in the long run. Reflecting and tracking is also another strategy. Journaling your experience, sharing in community, having support, just being really intentional about it is going to greatly increase your chances of success. And then there's this whole aspect of the power of community. It's so much easier to succeed at something when you're not alone. It's not just about accountability, but it speaks to like the heart and the emotionality of being a human to share a challenging experience like this with other people. Having a supportive group and access to my coaching and coaching strategies and tools is going to help you stay accountable and motivated. This is why I'm hosting the Dopamine Detox Challenge this January. So I really hope that you'll join me. Let me tell you a little bit about the challenge that I'm hosting. It's super accessible to join, incredibly accessible. I really wanted to host this for free, but then I realized that as human beings, we actually need to have some sort of skin in the game to hold us accountable. Basically, if we do a challenge that is for free, we're going to be much less motivated to put our resources and energy into it than if it's something that we pay for. It's similar to living in a condo with a gym and telling yourself you're going to work out every day versus paying for a gym membership. If you're paying for that gym membership, you're much more likely to get your ass out of bed in the morning and go to the gym because you're paying for it. So more on the pricing in a second, but the Dopamine Detox Challenge is a 30-day guided community challenge where I'm going to invite you to step away from just one dopamine inducing habit that is very unique to you. And you're going to know what that is, but I will provide some resources on how to select the right habit. What this includes is 4 weekly live calls in January where I will offer hot seat coaching. That means anyone who wants to step up and get coached in front of the whole group is absolutely free to do so. And the beauty of this is it's not just the person who's being coached that is going to get the benefits from this, but everyone in the group is, because if you're going through something, chances are everyone else is also going through it. So this is really powerful. We're also going to be discussing and integrating proven strategies inspired by Dopamine Nation on these calls. And then we're also going to have a group chat for day-to-day motivation, support, accountability. I'm hoping to create a group chat that's just going to be absolutely lit and full of motivation, but also a place to say like, hey, I'm really struggling today, and give others in the group an opportunity to say, yeah, me too. And we can all support each other no matter where we're at. And the last thing that's included is a member only portal that I'm building out with resources and coaching assignments to support you through this month. So this is going to start in January 2025. It's going to be online weekly calls on a very fun interactive platform called Toucan that Jenny and I used for our flow formula course that we did. It's so much fun. It's way more fun and interactive than Zoom. So that's going to be every Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, starting on January 9th. Now we will have a kickoff call on December 27th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And that's just going to be like a little orientation, a kickoff call, introductions, answering your questions, just us getting oriented as a group, which is going to be a lot of fun. And the price. So, as I mentioned, I have made this incredibly accessible. It's a pay what you can model starting at just $25. And I've made that accessible because I truly don't want finances to be a barrier for anyone who could benefit from this challenge, while also creating a space for you to choose a price that feels just enough for you to feel motivated and inspired to take the challenge seriously, but also something accessible. I really want this to be a fun community event and to get as many people as would benefit from enrolled. If $25 is even inaccessible to you and you're just really strapped, but you want to join, send me an email and we'll get you in on scholarship. And you guys, I'm going to be there right with you. So not only will I be there with you to provide the resources, the support, the container, the coaching, but I'm going to be detoxing right there with you. I'm going to be sharing in the experience with you. I'm going to be detoxing from shopping and cannabis, but really with the focus on cannabis. And this is my commitment to start 2025 with intention. And I really hope that you'll join me. If you're a past coaching client of mine, I would love to see you in there to reconnect with you, see how you're doing. If you're new to my world and you want to explore just the power of being in a container of mine and being in my presence and just learning from me in a more intimate one-on-one setting, this is a perfect low barrier to entry way to work with me and just get a taste of what community can feel like and what that supportive environment can feel like for you. So my question for you is, what is that one thing that you know you could benefit from taking a 1 month break from? What is that one thing? Is it scrolling? Is it TV? Is it social media? Sugar? Is it cannabis like me? Maybe it's alcohol. Maybe it's microdosing. Whatever it is, what is that thing that you started doing because it brought you pleasure, but over time you're finding that maybe it's time to reevaluate this relationship? Let me know. If you want to check out more about the program, it's modernpsychedelics.net/dopamine detox. I'll have that linked for you in the show notes, modernpsychedelics.net/dopamine detox. Like I said, it's pay what you can starting at only $25. This is an absolute no brainer. It's an hour of your time per week. And from there, the amount that you want to devote to this challenge is up to you. But let's do this together. So if you're ready to hit reset and start the new year feeling clear, feeling refreshed, focused, balanced this challenge is for you. Again, that's modernpsychedelics.net/dopamine-detox to learn more and secure your spot. I'm so excited to do this with you. And thank you so much for tuning in. The last invitation I have for you here is if you enjoyed this ad-free episode, this ad-free listening experience, and you like this kind of raw dog, just let's get into it. Let's get into the meat of it. I don't really want to be bombarded with ads. I am so happy to announce that I now have a subscription option on Spotify for just $4.99 a month. So as a subscriber on Spotify, you're going to get early access to new episodes, which is very exciting. You're going to have an ad-free listening experience and possibly even intro-free. Let me know if you guys want an intro-free as well as ad-free listening experience. If you just want the episode, just the interview. And then also, this is really fun, you're going to get one bonus secret podcast episode that's going to be available only to subscribers once a month. And the themes and topics on this can vary. It's really going to be subscriber driven. I want to create content that's for the subscribers. So these are probably going to be Ask Me Anything episodes where you have a chance to submit your questions directly to me and I will answer them on the secret subscriber only podcast. These can be questions about psychedelic integration, retreat centers, suggestions. If you want my raw, unfiltered, private opinion on products, on retreat centers, on providers, if you want support with integration, with lifestyle change, if you want me to offer my expertise as a coach to a situation that you might be going through, whatever it is that would support you, I want to give you the space as a subscriber to just build more of a deep personal relationship with me where I can support you a little bit more intimately. I'm going to link that for you in the show notes here to become a paid subscriber for only $4.99 a month. This means so much to me. As you guys know, podcasting is not cheap. It's a very expensive thing to provide. And, sponsorships can be a little bit tricky because I always want to make sure that I'm working with sponsors that are really aligned. So this is a really great way for you to support the podcast, support me, support my work, support this greater mission of raising the world's consciousness through psychedelics and consciousness expansion work at a really accessible rate. So I would absolutely be so grateful if you become a subscriber and help me make this subscriber only platform a hit for you. So join us for the Dopamine Detox. Become a paid subscriber if you feel called, and just want you to know that your support means so much to me. I'm about 4 years into doing this podcast now, and your support, your encouragement, every message that you guys send, your listenership, it is everything to me. And so I want to continue creating valuable content for you. And I have so much in store for you in 2025 and beyond. This Dopamine Detox and the subscriber only option is just the start of it, just the tip of the iceberg. So thank you again so much for being here. I wish you a beautiful, joy-filled holiday season. Whatever you are doing, I hope you take some time to relax, to reflect, and really think about what would make 2025 the year of your dreams. I'm sending you a big hug